Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the Diana Wright Show live online. And we welcome you from around the world and here in the United States as the show begins right now. All right, let's get started. I am amazed at things that develops. Yeah? And how does it sound for me to say President Rahm Emanuel, current mayor of Chicago, former chief of staff for President Barack Obama? The rumor is that he's planning to run for president in 2016. So, are we gonna watch and see? Well, it is said that Joe Biden was thinking of running in 2016. And I guess Mr. Biden is the oldest of the three. Hillary, now Rahm Emanuel, and Joe Biden. So I wonder where and who are going to be the two to compete in the primaries. That people get slashed and things get thrown around and things get said that hurt to the core, but you got to put it aside when whomever is chosen. So I have a feeling that Hillary, if she runs, will prevail over the two men that are rumored and said and speculated about being candidates for president for 2016. But should we be looking at 2014 midterm elections before we think all the way to 2016? I do think so. Because I do believe that we should live in the moment. Look how things can change and how life can change. In a moment. In one moment, your life can be upturned and twisted and broken. And look at Oscar Pistorius today. He was the icon. Everyone celebrated for him. Everyone rooted for him. He was about to train for a meet in March. But instead, his meeting is in the jail in South Africa. And his passion and his obsession, I gather, with guns may just have been his downfall. We don't know the details yet, but we shall wait and see. As we look at our week in review, this to me is just the most shocking story of the week. Of course, there are others, and we'll get to them. But just imagine Riva and Oscar, the power couple, the beautiful couple, the celebrated athlete and the beautiful model, TV reality star, graduated from law school. So much potential lost in a moment. So that should encourage us every single day to love who we are, celebrate who we are, enjoy the moment, because tomorrow may be too late. One moment changes a life, destroys a life. And as we welcome you to the Diana Wright Show live online this evening, we just want you to take stock and think and reminisce and know that this moment that you have on this planet is the moment you need to cherish and be grateful for, because the next moment everything can change. Just give a thought to Jesse Jackson Jr., the congressman from Chicago, a rising star, a famous dad, and on his way to glory, if you will. Had potential. Last year we struggled with him as he suffered and went through his bipolar episode and treatment. But then bigger things came. And now we know $750,000 of campaign funds that he and his wife used. Well, they're saying the wife too, but because he's a candidate, he's responsible, to buy Rolex, memorabilia from Bruce Lee, Michael Jackson, Martin Luther King, and he renovated his house, bought fur coats and capes. And why can't we simply just buy what we can afford to buy? As a congressman, I'm sure he could have gone to those stores that he bought those things from and probably do some haggling that we were kind of told to do this week. That was one of the big stories of this week, that you should learn to haggle when you go to buy a car and clothing and all different types of stuff. So wouldn't it have been a better way for him to go, to haggle? If he haggled, he might not be facing time in prison. They're saying up to 5 years. And then you are saddened by the news of another young man snuffed out. Is it greed? What is it? Is it his bipolar condition that drove him to do this? We don't know. I don't know. You don't know. We wish him well, but what a disappointment again. So as we hear the whispers of Rahm Emanuel wanting to run in 2016 for President of the United States, he seems like a not so old guy. But what are we going to hear along the way? We hope nothing, and we hope that he can get the violence in Chicago under control, because already the year just started and 50 murders have already been occurred. 50 people shot dead in Chicago, and we're what? In the middle of February? So, as Mayor Emanuel take care of that problem that they have in Chicago, the president was actually there today addressing them about this. So we just simply hope that they can put a dent into what's going on. Find something for those young men, because it seems like most of the violence in Chicago is coming from young men. So we hope that they can indeed find a way to change the course of what's going on in Chicago. Imagine that Chicago is worse than New York City. Just think of that. New York was always up there, but now Chicago is in the lead. That's not the good lead that you want to have in any city that you live. So we hope that Mayor Emanuel will be able to get that fixed. And the president being there today, hope that he could use his influence and his gift of persuasion to persuade those young men to put their guns down. Find a school to go to, or find a trade to learn, or something. It's just not worth it for us losing all these young lives. So we'll see. 2016, it looks far away now, but it's actually just around the corner. So we'll see what happens with the future thought of President Rahm Emanuel. All right, that has a nice ring to it. Or is it President Hillary Clinton or President Joe Biden? Which will it be? Because at the rate that the Republicans are going, I'm not so sure they can repair themselves between now and 2016. And even if they do, because they try to con the people and try to make themselves look like a softer, gentler set of Republicans, let's not forget and lose sight that their principles and policies are still the same. This week, none other than Mr. Marco Rubio voted against the Violence Against Women's Act. Who knew and who does that? And why did he do that? And how could he have done that? And then they talk about him wanting to be president? Well, if he can't stand up and vote just for that, what else can't he vote for? And another thing, as we review the week, as we learn that the Republicans are running the country based on grudges from 7 years ago, what a disappointment that is. And how could they hold a grudge against one of their own, Chuck Hagel, block his nomination, postpone his nomination out of a grudge? Grudge and malice. Wow, the Bible refers to jealousy as the grave. So I put them all in the same box, you know, the grudge and the malice and the jealousy and the envy. For me, it's just one box. And that box is just as bad as the grave, yeah? So we hasten to hope that next week will be a better week, where Republicans, John McCain, who is kind of trying to turn his heart, and Lindsey Graham also trying to turn his heart after he behaved like he was a toddler who needed time out in the corner, given some chocolates that he is jumping around like he's crazy. And Mr. Ted Cruz, totally disrespectful, total trying to assassinate Chuck Hagel's character. Absolutely unnecessary. And that's not the job that you went there to do for the people of Texas. So I hasten to believe and hope and pray that next week will be a more civil week. And as we ponder things like the sequester, and the Republicans like the requester because the sequester is gonna hurt the president, you see. I trust the sequester will also hurt the Republicans. So please remember, when you're trying to plot a grave for someone else, you should always try to plot two graves, because you might fall into that grave before the someone else you're trying to plot to put in it. Thank you again for joining me this evening. As we go into the weekend, we prepare to go to our different churches, whether it's Seventh-day Church. The Sabbath begins at sundown. Well, there was no sun today, so I guess it started at 6 o'clock. And the Sunday worshipers and whomever you worship, we hope that you can pray for your politicians in Washington. And when you pray, you also pray that God will show them that obstruction will lead nowhere. And grudges and hate and malice and all those other things, jealousy and envy, gets us nowhere. It just makes us bitter people and not better people. So let's try to be better people instead of bitter people. And cut the malice. Malice is not a good thing. My mom will tell you, that she and I will have a major disagreement, and I'd be the first to call and say, "Hi, Mom, how are you?" And she's still stewing, and I'm just jolly on. That's the reason they always say to forgive those that do you wrong or whatever it is, because you actually forgive them for yourself. Because when you're stewing, they don't even remember you. And when you forgive, you take a load off your shoulders and a burden from your heart for the next person. So that's my advice for you tonight. All right. Something I wanted to repeat from what I did today, because I figured some of you might not have caught it. But don't forget that if you miss a show, you can go on YouTube and catch a show there, or you can go to my website at dianawrighttv.webs.com. And if you're watching me, I should not be giving you the address because you should know it already. You can just click on the website at videos and you will see the video that you missed today. It might be up on YouTube a little faster because we have to wait for expert Ms. Gail to do the website upload. She is so much more technical and astute than I am. So we have to depend on her to do that. So, but I can do a few of the other things, okay? I'm learning and it's becoming much easier. Just like I always say, everything seems difficult when you don't know what it is or how to do it. But once you learn, and you can learn, and everyone is capable of doing whatever they want to do if they just learn it, take time to research it, absorb it in your mind, and it becomes easy. Yeah? So, for those Jamaicans who have been worried about the closure of the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, otherwise known as the USCIS, the field office that is closing in Jamaica, the office is moving to Santo Domingo, but they're moving there, but that will not affect you if you're applying for a immigrant visa, a non-immigrant visa, or you are a U.S. citizen in Jamaica seeking to get your passport renewed or get your passport fixed or whatever. Everything will continue to be the same at the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica. Only the office of the USCIS will be moving to Santo Domingo. So a lot of folks were worried that their loved ones that they filed for would have to take a flight and go to Santo Domingo. No, you don't. That was not the reason for that office in Jamaica in the first place. So it's just relocating to Santo Domingo, and it doesn't affect anything you're trying to do for your relatives in Jamaica in terms of sponsoring them to come here. So need not worry. If they're in the country, they just need to hop on the bus or get a car to go to Kingston. They won't have to be then taking another plane to go to Santo Domingo. All stays and happens in Jamaica. All right? So I'm just repeating that. I said it today and I just wanted to repeat it just in case. You never know, someone might have missed. Or you can tell your friends who might be concerned about their elderly parent that has to go to Santo Domingo to get their interview. No, they don't have to do that. All right. Senator Elizabeth Warren. So proud of her for today. Her debut in Washington as she questioned, I think it was yesterday actually, but because of the whole cruise line thing, everybody kind of forgot about that. She kept hammering those regulators of the banks and asking them, who have you taken to trial from Wall Street? We know who did it. We know who wrecked our economy. We know who made a lot of us have our houses underwater. We know who killed our 401ks. We know the culprits. So, is there anyone that has been taken to trial? She asked. And she kept asking one after another, and they all had puzzling looks on their faces. And one person said, oh, we'll have to get back to you. Oh, what a country we live in that simply has one set of opportunities for one set of people, another set of opportunities, or no opportunity for another set of people. One set of laws and rules for one set of people, and another set for the less fortunate, or the ones who did not become wealthy, or the 47% who they're just disregarding. Yeah? So Elizabeth Warren, we are depending on her. She is going to get them on Wall Street. I think every banker on Wall Street is wondering, what is she going to ask next? And what is she? Remember now, Congress had actually blocked her when the president was trying to make her the head of consumer affairs, or whatever the title was, to protect us and our money. But now she has a bigger position. She's now a senator. So she can ask the hard questions. But I'm sure she's asking it not with malice or grudges like the Republicans. She's asking her questions on our behalf, because she is actually there fighting for little people like you and I, and trying to get some answers, and trying to put some of those bankers in prison. Take them to trial, get them to jail, and let them see what it feels like. A lot of those people, I think, don't even understand what it's like to be poor and be hungry and be homeless and have to worry about your house being underwater and worry about paying your rent and your mortgage and paying school fees for your children, worried about your kids getting a proper education. A lot of them just don't have to. I don't even think they even understand what people in the middle class, quote unquote middle class, because I believe it's just rich and poor right now. There's no middle class. If they would only take the time to come in the trenches, they would understand. But I am challenging you, each and every one of you, to pick up your phone, get the pen, and write a letter, send an email to all the senators and all the congresspeople and the president and the vice president. They all have different offices. And let them know what you want, what you need. It's not about just getting them elected and putting them in Washington and then they just not do anything. All they do is fight and block each other and grudge each other and, hold up things for 7 years. I just thought that was the most ridiculous story of this week. And we didn't make it up. We heard it straight from John McCain's mouth. A 7-year grudge to hold up a nomination as important as the Secretary of Defense. I find that quite interesting. Is that the way we are supposed to live our lives, with grudges and malice? I don't think so. And I would hope that each and every one of you out there, if you're holding any grudge or any malice in your heart, you will find a way to fix it. Because when you fix it, it will be so much easier for you to look in the mirror and say, I love me. And for the guys, because guys do hold grudges, they are Republicans, they are all guys. You need to just look in that mirror and say, love me. Because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for yourself, which takes me to what I want to read for you this evening. When you're able to say and believe, I love me, your life will change. Nothing else matters when you love yourself. There is none to blame for you being unhappy. This is really caused by a lifelong of self-hate and wanting to be someone else. So say it. It's my fault. And now I love me, and see how much better you feel. Take it from me. You will feel empowered by those 3 little words. And don't forget, once you get it going for yourself, make sure you're teaching your children to also love themselves, because it's important. It's just simply important. And if you think about the imbalance that Senator Elizabeth Warren is trying to fix, just think of the little people who are out there who are in jail for smoking marijuana or, other things. And look at what these guys did. And none of them are going to prison? Impossible. Wow. Don't forget, if you'd like to join the team here and be a sponsor of the program, or an advertiser, or a partner, you can give us a call at 561-228-1921, Or if you'd like me to speak at your gathering or your church or your function, you can give us a call at that same number, 561-228-1921. And we're moving right along as we move from the two systems of America, one for the rich and one for the poor and unfortunate people. So we hope that we can affect change by calling those numbers of our senators and our congresspeople. Empower yourself. Do something. Make a contribution. Don't just die with your song in your heart. Let your voice be heard. And the passengers on that cruise, that cruise from hell, that nightmare of a cruise on Carnival Cruise Line called the Triumph, I don't know, that did not seem so triumphant to me. But lots of folks are talking today. They're telling their nightmare stories, and some of them are really bad. People using red bags to go to the bathroom, and then you have to take that red bag to another place and then another place. Wow. No food to eat? Can you imagine the scene on that ship? People sleeping on the deck? Darkness overcoming the light? Well, they definitely needed the Savior to come and say, "Let there be light," and there was light. And we just simply wonder. Again, we ponder and ask the question, why couldn't Carnival Cruise Line take another ship out to sea and take all those people off of that ship and let them continue their vacation instead of the nightmare they suffered 1 week on the water, going nowhere? I would love to see how they're going to pay for that. Well, they say they're going to give you $500 or something, and, another cruise. And after that nightmare, would you want to go on another cruise right away? I'm not so sure. Unless they give you a cruise to anywhere. So you make sure you take the Mediterranean cruise. That takes you all over Europe. Yeah? Just unless they're giving you the most expensive cruise that they sell, I don't see how it compensates for the nightmare and the hell that you've just been through. So I think people should insist that they get the most expensive cruise. I don't know what they're giving, but I know I heard something about a cruise of their choice or something. Well, I would be picking the one that costs them the most. And they would have to put me in I don't know, they can't put everybody in the first class cabin, but I would want to be in that cabin. Yeah? I would definitely want to be in that cabin. No regular room for me after all that nightmare. I don't know if they have any such ship with all of that accommodation, but I think the people deserve it because they have suffered. And don't forget that the other ship that had the accident in Italy is also owned, it comes under the same umbrella of Carnival Cruise Lines. They actually own that ship also. What's going on with that company? Is there someone inside trying to sabotage them or something? It kind of looks weird. Last year, this year, 2 nightmares. Well, that one was worse because at least no one died here. People were shuffled straight to the hospital as they came ashore, but we have not heard of any deaths yet. And we're thankful for that. All right? So, the passengers' hellish experience. I see lots of books and I'm told that they cannot actually sue Carnival Cruise Line. But then there's an attorney that's kind of saying, yes, they can. So we'll watch and see for that. And we'll keep you up to date. All right? Okay. It just seems to me that every time I look and I kind of feel around, I'm thinking about Oscar Pistorius. Didn't know the guy, but the guy just seemed to affected us. He affected us so much to see someone born without legs and did so much, achieved so much in his life. It's just so hard for me to even understand what happened. I'm sure we'll hear what happened, but it's just hard to see. Yes, your life can become a nightmare in a moment. As he sobbed in his hands today, I just felt so bad for him. And I truly, truly, truly hope that when it comes down to it, the rumors that we hear that he thought it was a burglar, but the prosecutor is saying it is premeditated, we don't know which one to believe. But I hope for Oscar's sake that he thought it was a burglar. So, ladies and gentlemen, you need to make sure that when you meet someone, if they have a whole lot of guns and they love to shoot, I would say keep on stepping. Because you never know what they're going to do with the gun, okay? I just think that's a dangerous situation. And as we kind of go back over our week of great stories, I remind you of the story of the doctor that treated the woman in the ER, and after she died, he sat down and wrote a letter to the husband telling him how saddened he was and how he admired them as a couple and how close they were and how he took care of his wife and asked the right questions and was calm. And her 24-year-old son felt comforted by the letter and the outflowing of sympathy and, nice, kind words from people who read the letter once he put it online. So that for me was a great story for this week. All right, what was the next one? Oh, the next one was the fact that I found out that the Pope bumped his head in Mexico, and the fact that the Vatican is an $8 billion business, global institution, and that the Pope is actually going to be still living at the Vatican. And he promises to make no more public appearances. But I just wonder about the new Pope that they will name, I guess, next month. How is he going to feel to know that the living Pope is right there in his shadow? Remember now, normally the Pope dies and there's a new Pope. But this time, the Pope resigns and there will be a new Pope. So, how is he going to feel to know that the shadow is there, And what is he thinking? Am I doing a good job? Should I be asking him for consulting information? Or should I just ignore him and pretend he's not there? I think it's going to be a little awkward for the next Pope. Don't you? What do you think? Yeah, I think it's going to be a little awkward. And one of the nicer stories that I found was the stories about the friendliest towns in the USA. Sammamish in Washington, Orinda in California, Fisher in Indiana, Seal Beach in California, Westerville in Ohio, Frisco in Texas, Alpharetta in Georgia, and Downers Grove in Illinois, Huntington Woods in Michigan, and Tule in Utah. We should all visit those towns and see if they're speaking truth. If those people are really friendly. Now, they got to be friendly to everyone, whether you're black, white, green, or blue. Okay? So, we'd like to see if there's anyone out there brave enough to... Well, I know Alpharetta, Georgia very well, and it's a nice town. People are generally friendly in Georgia anyway. It's one of the nicest places to live in the U.S. A lot of people say they don't like it because there's nothing to do and it's dead. I don't agree. People are friendly, warm, people have manners, people say hello to you, and just out of the blue, someone will say, hello, how are you? And you're kind of in shock, because especially if you come from places that people don't speak, like Florida. In Florida, I find that people will bump you over and not even say hello. They will look straight in your eye and not say hi. But in Georgia, it's nothing of the sort. People are eager to say hello, how you doing? It's hard to get in the groove of a group in Georgia. And it's even harder in Florida, of course. But it's difficult to get into the swing of things there and find yourself in the groove of people who make things happen. But I just think Atlanta is a great place to live. And now we hear that Alpharetta is one of the friendliest towns in the U.S. Okay, well, I dealt with it already. The most shocking news for me, the most shocking, it won hands down for this week. And that was the grudge statement by Senator John McCain. That was hands down. All right? And, of course, all the bitterness with Lindsey Graham. Now, we see now, and we just want to look at a little bit of business here, because Walmart is not getting good news today. Their stock fell, I think, by 2.5% or something like that. Yes? 2.5% or 2.15%. Yeah. And Walmart is actually saying that this month of February, that's not even yet completed, is their worst month in 7 years. So what's going on at Walmart? Are people beginning to be upset with Walmart? They say that the payroll taxes is what's causing it. They're blaming higher payroll taxes and delayed tax refunds. So I guess people, when they get their tax refunds, they go to Walmart and they have a whole big shopping spree or something. But I thought, I guess a lot of people get their tax refunds early, so I guess that just didn't happen this year. Yet. So Walmart is crying in their soup. Should we feel bad for Walmart? I'm not so sure. I don't know. Walmart is a great place. You get some things much cheaper than a lot of other stores. Sometimes $1 less, sometimes 50 cents less. But then you also have to be careful what you buy, because you have to check your prices and make your list so you don't get tempted into buying things that you really don't need. All right, you're just buying it because it's on sale or whatever. So Walmart is not so happy tonight in business. And a very nice story that I that I picked up online, and I thought it was very funny. It was funny, it was heartfelt, and it was a good story. In Connecticut, when they had that snowstorm a couple of days ago, there was a pregnant woman who was going into labor. So her husband decided that he will make a makeshift sled, put her on the sled, and pull her through the snow to get to Waterbury Hospital in Connecticut. And of course, as they went to the sled, there's a truck driver who came and helped them finish the journey. But I just thought it was absolutely insane. Can you just imagine a pregnant woman on a sled in how many feet of snow, being pulled by her husband, racing to get to the hospital before she have the baby in the sled? So, I thought the story was funny. I thought it was cute, and I thought it was actually just wonderful at the same time and heartwarming, because that husband, he was just determined to get her to the hospital. And he did. And baby was delivered. Wonderful, wonderful story. I thought I needed to share that with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining the Diana Wright Show live online, as we welcome you from around the world and in the United States. If you'd like to make a comment or talk about anything, you can give us a call if you please. And we will continue here to give you some other news. Now, if you're getting your news from Fox News, you would have noticed that there is no longer a Sarah Palin. But Fox announced today that they will replace one crazy for another crazy. Remember Herman Cain? Mr. Herman Cain, that had so many issues going on with so many women who said he sexually harassed them. And then his love that came out and said they had an affair for how many years? Mr. Herman Cain will now be joining the Fox Business News Network, along with, guess who? Mr. Scott Brown, who lost to Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts. So now we know why he didn't want to run for Senator Kerry, who is now Secretary of State, John Kerry. Now we know why. He didn't want to run for that seat because he was getting a bigger salary at Fox News. So Mr. Scott Brown, who we found out was the model on the cover, half naked or 3/4 naked, on that magazine that we saw when he was campaigning, and dared to be racist with his staff, being racist against Elizabeth Warren and acting like they're Cherokee Indians. Remember that? Now he's going to be a contributor at Fox News. How cute. How interesting. As we see. So what you do, you don't have to go to school and get no degree in communications, mass communications, arts and sciences. Just become a politician or a lawyer or even a doctor like Sanjay Gupta. And you will be on CNN and Fox News and NBC. Or you can also be the daughter of a president. That will get you there too. So my advice to you, if you're going to college, do not major in mass communications, arts and sciences. It will take you nowhere. Because most of you I know want to go and work in television, either in front of the camera or behind the camera. But look at the people that are getting the jobs in front of the camera especially. They're lawyers. They're politicians. They're losing politicians too. They're not even winning ones. They're losers. But they're getting the jobs that you really would want to have. Because you studied for it. And you know the business. You can actually write stories. You can actually read the news. You can actually think on your feet. But no, it is easier for you to become a politician, a lawyer, and like I said, maybe a doctor, a surgeon, like Sanjay Gupta. And boom, you're on TV. Just make sure you don't waste your time and major in certain things in college. That is one of the few things I agree with Mr. Eric Cantor when he said the other day that colleges should be telling parents, once their sons and daughters pick a major, they should sit down with them and say, look, these are the prospects for this particular major, and this is the possible income that you will make. You will start here, and you can only end up here. I agree. That should be something that colleges are telling parents, because a lot of students, when they get to college, they're trying to find themselves, as they say. You should not go to college and try to find yourself young power, young people. You should find yourself before you get there. And that liberal arts degree that you were planning on doing because you just wanted to go to college and get a degree, oh, if you leave it up to Mr. Cantor, you'll have no job. So you better think hard and fast and know that the healthcare industry is where the jobs are going to be. Finance and insurance, yes. The federal, state, and local government, yes, there will be jobs there. And of course, in the sciences and in education, there will be jobs in those fields. So I plead with you, when you decide and you sit down and you go through your mind and you figure out, what is my passion? I hope that your passion will fall in one of those genres. Because now we can't just go to school because we want to go to school, because it costs so much money to go to school. Just the application process is burning your pocket before you even start school. So as you ponder your major, keep in mind, am I going to be able to make a living from what I have chosen to put 4 years of my time into studying, writing papers, sweating, stressing out over, and then when I leave college, I have to go work as a waitress in a restaurant? Lots of college students are waitresses in restaurants. Some of those waitresses serving you, they are more qualified than you probably are. But they can't find a job and they must eat. So then they do that. So, I'm just simply saying to you young people out there, and even older people who want to go back to school because you lost your job in the crazy economy that we've had, that the Wall Street guys are responsible for, and they still have not gone to trial or jail. We can sit down and figure out what is, sometimes it's the dream that you never pursued when you were younger. It's something that you can do with your hands. You're talented at something, because we all have a talent. I don't care what it is. We all have something in us that is good and can be turned into a job, a business, a profession, or whatever it is. So don't be down on yourself, because a lot of those older people who were over 40 and 50s and some 60s who were trying to get back to work were just broken. Broken people. I've seen some of them in specials on television, and they're just broken. Their spirit was broken. Their hopes were broken. Their dreams were broken because they never thought that when they're in their 50s they would be looking for a job, or in their 60s. And all of them in common said, what do I do now? The only thing I know is X, Y, Z that I did or I've done for 30 years. So we just want to lift those people up tonight. Lift them up and give them courage, encouragement to keep on pressing and find something. There's something that you're good at. What about the job that you did for 30 years? Whatever you did at that job, can you go out on your own and do that same thing and make money? Maybe you can. So there's lots of ways to look at it. Sometimes our tragedies turns into opportunities. That's a possibility too. It looks impossible at the time, but there's always a light at the end of the dark tunnel. And as you ponder, young people, because it's that time now, seniors are getting ready for prom and graduation and all those good things. Because right now, seniors aren't learning much. Because once they take that SAT and they apply for colleges and they get into the college or whatever, they're not focusing on what's going on at high school anymore. Their brain is on to prom and graduation. But I keep reminding my daughter, remember, you still have finals to take in May. And if you don't pass your finals, you might just not graduate. So don't get too high on the prom thing. Which brings me to the point of the prom. Why is it that they have the prom first and then you have to go back and go take exams? Well, my daughter promptly explained it to me this evening that, Mommy, when they do the exams first, then the kids just leave and don't come back to school. So, hence, they do the prom first, then they do the final exams, and I guess graduation follows somewhere there. So in order to keep the people in school, hey, they just have to do it the wrong way, because it is the wrong way. You should be doing your exams, get it out the way, be finished with exams, and then you go to prom and you enjoy yourself and you have a good time and you have graduation. But now I know. My daughter gave me a schooling about that this afternoon. So I now know why the prom takes place early in May, like the first week or something, and then at the end of May or the beginning of June, you have your finals, depending on the school that you go to. So ladies and gentlemen, young boys and girls, don't get too happy if you're 12th graders. Don't forget you do have finals to pass. And even though you've passed the SAT and you've sent out all your college applications and you've been accepted at some of the schools, you're still not finished with high school until you pass those finals. Forget about the prom and the graduation party. You have to pass your finals in order to get through. So please keep that in mind as you go about your business, because, you know, everybody's excited about the party and the graduation party and the prom and buying the prom dress. And why are the prom dresses so expensive anyway? $800 for one dress that you're going to wear one time? No. I'd rather go and search places like TJ Maxx. I'm one of those people. I would rather search and search until I find the right dress, instead of going to those places and paying all this money for a dress you're going to wear one time. Well, maybe $200 I think may be a reasonable budget for a prom dress, if that much, because a lot of parents can't afford $200 for a prom dress. But I see parents out there buying $800 and $1,000 dresses for prom. Are you going to wear that dress again? Most people probably don't. Just like my wedding dress. Well, I didn't have too much of an expensive wedding dress. I just had something very simple. But, you know, some of those wedding dresses could run you $10,000 and $20,000. And you can only wear it one time, because even when you renew your vows, more than likely you're going to be fatter than when you had that dress first. Some people might not be, but I think most people probably won't be able to fit into that dress again. And most of the times we're talking about, oh, we're going to pass it down to our daughters. Your daughter does not want your old dress, because most of the times when they're getting married, there's a different style in, and they don't want to be saddled. So parents, please, mothers, stop putting a guilt trip on your young daughters who are getting married because they don't want to wear your old wedding dress. And you're telling them, you know, well, we can take it to the cleaners and get it cleaned. No, they don't want to wear your old wedding dress. Let them get their own brand new dress. All right? Because some mothers take this thing to heart, you know. And I saw one mother on television. She took it so bad to heart. Her daughter did not want to wear her wedding dress. So she took a piece of the wedding dress that she wore, and she wanted the designer to find a place to put it on the new dress. That's how obsessed she was. I find that incredible. So I'm begging you, parents, please, mothers especially, because, you know, the fathers, they rent their tuxedos, so they're not going to get into that process. But mothers, do not ask your daughter to wear your wedding dress. If they like the wedding dress and they ask you, then you're honored and you take it and go get it cleaned and let them try it on. Don't try to force your old wedding dress on your young daughter that's trying to live and choose her own dress. My advice. Cheap advice, but it's a good one. All right, so there you go. we have covered most of the stories that really shook me up. Another one that I forgot to mention was the young lady who decided to sue her professor who gave her a C, and instead of getting a degree as a therapist, she got a degree for human development. And she's suing him for all the income that she would have earned, 1.3 million, I think it was. So she's suing him for that. And yeah, young power. I call that young power. Whether she wins or she loses, it's okay. All right? So that was and comes to the end of all the things that I want to talk to you about tonight. But I'm just going to read you again the things I wrote for you today. When you are able to say and believe, I love me, your life will change. Nothing else matters. There is more to blame or no one to blame for you being unhappy. This is really caused by a lifelong of self-hate and wanting to be someone else. So say it. It's only 3 little words. I love me. And shout it. Make no apologies for it. Be proud of yourself for loving yourself. And for the men and their young sons and boys and young men, love me. That sounds real macho. But it's okay to love yourself. It's okay to be the best you that you can be. And it's okay to celebrate yourself. So don't forget that come April 30th, National I Love Me Day, right here on the Diana Wright Show live online. It will be the day to celebrate yourself and who you are. Whatever package you're in, love that package. Because when you love that package, then you can go ahead and try to fix whatever you want to fix with the package. If it's losing some weight, you can do that. If it's fixing your hair, you can do that. Some people go get nose jobs, like Nene Leakes on Atlanta Housewives, and she looked great. I thought she looked great before, but she looked even better now, and she obviously feels more confident about herself. So some of us, like myself, not brave enough to go under the knife for your face, but just maybe. If you're brave enough to do so, then go ahead. The treatment I would like is the one that I saw on television where they put that mask on your face like, you're in some other planet. And when they take it off, your face looks so much more refreshed and young. But I'm not sure where to go and get that, because you see, I saw it on the Beverly Hills Housewives, so it might just only be in Beverly Hills, the place for lots of action. Actually, California, Beverly Hills, one of my favorite places. Nice town to live in. Nice place to interact with the stars, so you don't feel starstruck when you see them, because you're living amongst them. So once again, we say thank you so much for joining us this evening, and thank you for being part of the program, listening, and hope that we provided you with some information that's good and that you wanted to hear, and that we hope that whatever we said about loving yourself will lift you out of your depression and out of your blue zone and bring you into the green zone of life, where there's joy and peace and love and happiness, abundant health and wealth that were promised to us by God through His Son Jesus. So wherever you go to worship this weekend, hope you have great worship and great praising of the one and only one that can set you free. So, once again, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it's yours. If it doesn't, it was never yours. Thank you, and have a great, blessed weekend.